Okay, so the first thing we're going to read about is the Three-Fifths Compromise. And the Three-Fifths Compromise is right here. This compromise, which was an alteration to the United States Constitution, was about how are we going to count slaves for votes? Do they count? Do they not count? And this compromise was reached on June 11th, 1787. Once it was decided that representation in the House of Representatives was to be based on population, delegates from northern and southern states saw another issue arrive. How should slaves be counted? Delegates from northern states, where the economy did not rely very heavily on slavery, felt that slaves should not be counted towards representation because counting them would provide the South with a greater number of representation. Southern states very much fought for slaves to be counted in terms of representation. The compromise between the two became known as the Three-Fifths Compromise because every 5 slaves would be counted as 3 individuals in terms of representation. Basically, the South, if they only counted non-slaves as people to be represented in Congress, would have drastically low population. And in the House of Representatives, one of the halves of the bicameral Congress, the South would always lose and the North would always win. But if the slaves were counted as full people for terms of representation, then the North would always lose and the South would always win in the House of Representatives. So that Three-Fifths Compromise says that for however many slaves there are in the South, out of every 5, 3 will count for representation. Now, they don't actually get to vote. Only white landowners will be able to vote, but this would equalize the amount of representation between the North and the South because already this is long before the American Civil War, but already the North and the South know that slavery is an issue, and unless you keep the North and the South equal, there's going to be problems. So this was a way to kick the can down the road. Well, another generation later on will deal with this issue because right now we don't have the solution, is basically what they were saying. The Great Compromise is the next thing we're going to read about. So the Great Compromise, and this is about how large and small states are going to be represented. And this compromise was reached on July 16th, 1787. Before I actually read this document here, if you look above me at this picture, I'm going to read that to you really quick. And it says on the left, you have the Virginia Plan. On the right, you have the New Jersey Plan. The Virginia Plan called for a bicameral legislature, so 2 parts in the Congress, in which the number of representatives in each house would be dependent upon the population of the state. The more people, the more votes. The New Jersey Plan, the one on the right, it called for a unicameral legislature, so only one legislature. So no House of Representatives, no Senate, just the Congress, in which every state will receive 1 vote. So the left plan, the Virginia Plan, would very much benefit large states or densely populated states, and the New Jersey Plan would very much benefit small states or states that have very low population. In the middle, it says both plans called for a strong national government with 3 branches. So both plans said we'll have a president, we'll have a Congress, we'll have a judicial branch. The only real argument here was in the legislative branch, the part of the government where laws are made. Virginia Plan says population. New Jersey Plan says everybody gets the same. At the bottom of that picture, it says the Great Compromise. And the Great Compromise is what we're about to read about. It provided for a bicameral Congress, so it took part of that from the Virginia Plan. In the House of Representatives, the first half, each state is going to be represented according to its population. So the more people you have, the more votes you have in the House of Representatives. And this made people who liked the Virginia Plan very happy. In the Senate, the other half of Congress, of this bicameral legislature, the Senate, each state would have 2 senators. So everybody gets the same. And this made this made people happy that liked the New Jersey plan. The little asterisk right there says that both houses of Congress must pass every law. So if the House of Representatives write a law and they say, this is the new law of the land, the Senate has to pass that exact same law for it to become law. If the Senate writes a bill and they say, this, if it becomes law, is going to be the new law of the land, then the House of Representatives also has to vote on it. And they have to vote with the exact same words. Nothing can be changed. And if both houses vote on it and say yes, that bill then becomes law. A bill is a law that has not been made law yet. And a law is, it's already been through the process. That's fact. So, okay, now let's read the document. The Articles of Confederation, under which the United States operated from 1781 to 1787, provided that each state would be represented by one vote in Congress. So that's just like the New Jersey plan. So the New Jersey plan proponents, people who liked that, that's what they had been getting so far. When changes were being discussed for how states should be represented during the creation of a new constitution, two plans were put forward. The Virginia plan provided for representation to be based on the population of each state. On the other hand, the New Jersey plan proposed equal representation for every state. The Great Compromise, known as also the Connecticut Compromise, joined both plans together. It was decided that there would be two chambers in Congress, two halves, a bicameral Congress, a bicameral legislature. That would be the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate would be based on equal representation for each state, and the House would be based on population. This is why each state has two senators and a varying number of representatives. Two houses in Congress is known as a bicameral system. I hope you're learning, and I hope you're doing well.